only have about 120 now, but I got to live a few more years, I know. But our goal is, at least my personal goal was, I'd love to see 250.
When we first formed, I understood our mission pretty simply. Jim Frick penned the concept of improving the quality of life for the people of St. Joseph County and their succeeding generations. It's a very simple and resilient mission. But the question is, how do you play that out? How do you actually act that out? In the beginning, I thought it was really just three things. I thought we raised money, we invested, and we give the earnings to charity. But we've become more steeped in the fact all the time that there's a fourth dimension, and that's leadership. We understand now that you can't just throw money at problems and change magically happens. So a big part of the value we bring to the community is understanding that leadership component, looking for solutions where people have stopped looking for solutions, having higher aspirations for the community than it sometimes has for itself, looking for remarkable people who are there and ready to respond to a great idea if they trust that you'll really pull it off.
The leadership came in the form of Jim Frick, who, because Notre Dame was here, because he had been involved with fundraising across the country, was considered to be one of the deans of fundraising. He had a credibility, he had an experience level, and he had a stature that he could go anywhere in the community and make this happen. So I'd say the leadership portion was very important. But then having somebody come along with more energy, which certainly Rose has brought to this. She was a great understudy for Jim, helped him immensely, and has gone on and done great things with the community. She's got a Unit Foundation since, with her passion and her focus.
When we formed in 1992, we had about $100 in endowment. I remember the first person who wrote a check for $100. And the point is, you're not very credible when you go out to talk to people and say, we're building a community endowment and we've got $100, what would you like to kick in? And so part of the secret for why we went so far so fast is that Notre Dame gave us a $1 million founding contribution. Suddenly we were on the map. And shortly after Notre Dame gave us $1 million, Memorial gave us $500,000 for the Healthy Community Fund to promote community health. We just skipped that whole part where we would have had all the headwinds of, is this organization going to make it or not? Is it going to be significant or not? Because of those early lead contributions.
And many of us have done a lot of fundraising, and some campaigns are difficult, some are easier than others, but this was one that we found the response was great within the community. So with that behind us, I think it helped encourage us to actually set much loftier goals than just that initial matching challenge through Lilly. And once we started raising those goals, the dreams kept getting bigger and bigger, and Chuck Romer throws out that crazy $100 million goal, and we laugh about it and we kid him about it. But I think in the back of all of our minds, we really did think, you know, this could be achievable.
Well, the Community Foundation has a glorious tradition of vastly exceeding the goals we set for ourselves. I remember with our first campaign, when Lilly Endowment gave us a challenge grant, we were supposed to raise $3.4 million in 5 years, and we thought it was going to take 5 years. Well, with Jim Frick's leadership and the generosity that people responded with, it took 18 months. In a speech Jim Frick made upon his retirement, he put out the bold concept that this was in 1994, that by the millennium we would have achieved $25 million. And we knew at the time when he said $25 million, it was like, wow. In fact, we achieved $65 million by the millennium. We hoped to hit a $100 million goal by 2007, and we hit it in 2005. There's a few different things that explain our extraordinary growth. First, I would say the outstanding board of directors that came together to form this organization and lend us their credibility and their competence. Secondly, that same board of directors put money on the table to hire 2 professional staff people right from the beginning. As I said, Jim Frick, who came in to lead the first development campaign, and people knew if Jim Frick was leading a development campaign, it was going to succeed. And then they also hired me right out of MBA school at IU Bloomington. So they put the investment in up front to build the foundation they wanted to be. The third thing, though, that we had that nobody else had was Judd Layton. He was somebody that we could go to with a big idea, and he would hear us out, and he would fund it if he was convinced.
He looked at his philanthropic partnerships, all the various philanthropic partnerships, as an investment. He looked at it in the same way as he would look at a blue chip stock. You know, he invested with organizations that had a level of permanence to them. You can see that throughout his giving, and with people he trusted. Judd and Mary Lou were both visionaries. They did some very creative things with the Community Foundation. Their focus was on excellence, you know, striving to make yourself better. The Layton Award, for example, the fact that we would try to recognize organizations that are doing a good job and hold them up as an example to other organizations to get better.
The grants that we apply to and the Layton Award are certainly much needed, and the investment earnings that come to Logan's endowment fund as well as to our operations are critical, but they expose us to a higher level of thinking about striving for excellence as a not-for-profit.
The other aspect, of course, about winning the Layton Award for nonprofit excellence was the fact that we were the first arts organization in the community to win that award, and I believe it was the 8th year of the award, if I'm not mistaken. And that sent a nice signal, I believe, to the community that the arts organizations in this community are important and do fulfill a very special purpose.